guys, I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and it's dogfight time. Epic 4G versus EVO 4G. Two of the flagship devices on Sprint, both 4G capable, both running Android, both with gorgeous screens, both awesome. And they're on Sprint right now, $249.99 for the Epic, $199.99 for the EVO after rebates. We're going to have to do a dogfight to see which one's the best in the Sprint space. But first, special thanks to our friends at Best Buy Mobile for hooking us up with not one, but two EVO 4Gs and Epic 4Gs. You know, at Best Buy, you get to walk out working. I mean, I know how to set up my email, I know how to browse the web, but a lot of people don't. When you go to Best Buy, you can walk out working, and they'll help you set up your email. They'll help you set up all the stuff that you need to make your phone as great as it can be. But enough of that. Into the dogfight. Epic 4G versus EVO 4G. It's going to be an epic dogfight, pun intended. Starts right now. Okay, it's dogfight time. Epic 4G versus EVO 4G, both available from Sprint now, as I said. $249.99 after $100 mail-in rebate. $199 after $100 mail-in rebate. So that was a concern I had when the Epic 4G launched. You know, it's launching outside of that $199 mental price point that consumers have. It launched to $50 more. Doesn't seem like a lot, and if you know phones, you know that it may be worth it. But still, you know, it launched out of the consumer mindset of $199. So the question I had out of the box was it, you know, $350 before rebates. Is it going to sell when you can get something like the iPhone 4 or the EVO 4G for $199 after rebates, or $299 out the door in the case of the EVO 4G? So a little bit of a price concern, but you know, this is a dog fight, not a price fight. But you know, just a little bit of an issue or a little concern that I have with the Epic 4G. Anyway, specs. 1 gigahertz processor, 1 gigahertz processor, 4.3-inch display on the EVO 4G, and 4-inch, so a little bit smaller, but 4-inch Super AMOLED display on the Epic 4G. And you know, I said this in the G2 dogfight with the Epic 4G. I mean, this is absolutely gorgeous display, and it's that nice sweet spot almost between the 4.3-inch display and the 3.5 and 3.7-inch displays on the market. You know, the camera really doesn't do it justice. Absolutely gorgeous. Colors really pop. And you know, some people, in terms of the 4.3-inch displays, the EVO is a little bit shorter and fatter versus another 4.3-inch device like the Droid X, which may, you know, push consumers to a nice mid-range size device in terms of size, like the Epic 4G. So a little bit heavy, or a little bit bulky on this end, and whereas this may fit, in terms of size, may fit perfectly for a lot of consumers. So nice display. In terms of display, it definitely goes to the Epic 4G. Even though the EVO has a bigger display, in terms of just colors and overall beauty, Epic 4G gets that. Another hardware-wise, you know, volume rocker on the left-hand side, power button on the top right, like on most of the Galaxy S devices, and camera button here, which is a nice thing for the Galaxy S devices. If you remember the Captivate and the Vibrant and the Fascinate, even if I recall, none of those have the camera shortcut button on the bottom right-hand corner. So a frustration for some. You know, it's not that hard to go in the menu and press the camera button, but it's nice to have that dedicated camera key so I can hold the device in place with two hands, you know, and press down. And pressing it halfway, autofocus. Pressing it the full way activates or you know, takes the picture. So nice touch there. No such button on the EVO. On the right side, you have the volume rocker, and that's about it. HDMI input and USB, micro USB charging port. 3.5mm headphone jack and power button on the top, 8 megapixel camera on the back, and you get the kickstand on the EVO. But outside of that, let me take this case off. Outside of that, no camera button or anything of that nature. So when you do take a picture with this one, you have to physically, you know, let it autofocus and then take the picture. So not a huge frustration. Still, it's nice to have the physical button on the Epic 4G. 5 megapixel camera on the Epic 4G with a flash, which is a nice departure from the early Galaxy S devices like the Vibrant and Captivate. This joins the Fascinate in having a flash. So a nice touch there on the hardware side. Software-wise, Android 2.1 right now, at least on the Epic 4G, with Samsung's TouchWiz user interface, and that's the interface that makes it look kind of iPhone-ish, if you will, with the icons sliding side to side versus sliding up and down like a typical Android setup. TouchWiz 3.0 on this one, Android 2.1. On the EVO 4G, Android 2.2 or Froyo with HTC Sense UI. So you'll notice, you know, it has a manufacturer overlay just like the Epic 4G does, but it's a little bit different in terms of design. with the start bar at the bottom, start phone, and add widgets button, and your apps scrolling up and down. It's a little bit more Androidish, if you will, on this front with the apps going up and down versus scrolling from left to right on the Epic 4G. 7 home screens on the on this one. That's a nice touch on that one, and then on the Epic 4G, 7 as well. So you'll see those there. So, nice touch, 7 home screens. Some have argued that 7 home screens are too much. Who puts, that many icons? I beg to differ. You don't have to use them. You can use 2 or 3 and leave the rest blank if you want to, but it's a nice option for customization. And as with both, you can move the icons around, do typical things that you can do in Android. But on that front, Android 2.1 TouchWiz, Android 2.2 with Sense. Just from a software perspective, I have to hand it to the EVO 4G. Android 2.2, nice that they got it. And actually, it was the first retail device outside of the Nexus 1, the first retail device with a skin, if you will, or an overlay, HTC Sense UI, to get Android 2.2 out of the box after the Droid, the original Droid from Verizon. So Sprint was very quick to get Android 2.2 to the market, which was a nice touch, and it does well on the EVO and works well with HTC Sense UI. So just for the fact that it has Android 2.2 and all the benefits that come with 2.2, like saving apps to the SD card, a couple little perks like app sharing, and some minor changes in the user interface. Kudos to the EVO 4G for having that. Now, the Galaxy S line is getting Android 2.2 by the end of the year, so if you're concerned about it, never fear. You will get it at some point. Samsung's still saying by the end of the year. No specific time frame there, but as of right now, it's running Android 2.1. So, just on the software front to the EVO 4G. Now, that said, you walk into the store, it's all about, in my opinion, it's all about the manufacturer overlays. Unless you're a hardcore user that's going to root the device or change it in some way, you walk in and you're going to look and say, which one's prettier, which one's more functional, TouchWiz or HTC Sense UI. That I'll leave to you. Personally, I prefer HTC Sense UI. I think it's very functional. And it provides a nice balance. It appeals to a number of demographics. It appeals to the intermediate user or the advanced user like myself, still very Androidish, even though it has the overlay. And then for people that are new to Android, it still does a nice job. This one, on the other hand, TouchWiz, as I've said before, very iPhone looking, which is fine. For people that are migrating from the iPhone or people that like the way the iPhone menu looks and they want something similar on Sprint, it's a fantastic option. Basically, it boxes the icons in. Scrolls from left to right instead of up and down. So, very similar with the 4 buttons on the bottom. Very similar to iOS. And, for people that want an iPhone or people that are looking for something similar, this is where it's at. And it's very easy to use, very clean, very good looking. So let's dive into some of the more in-depth hardware features of these two devices. And I think you'll find, as you dive into these hardware features, for the most part, they're pretty similar. I mean, they both have front-facing cameras. The EVO's front-facing camera is supposedly a little bit better, but, I've worked with Quick and Fring and all of the some of the other video chat services, and, honestly, it's video chat, and it's video chat over cellular networks, so it's grainy. For the most part, it's grainy anyway. That minor difference in camera, or front-facing camera, really doesn't make a difference. So, but both have front-facing cameras, as you can see. I'll zoom in, or I'll get close so you can see those. Front-facing cameras both have capacitive buttons on the bottom. The EVOs have circles around them, make them easier to see, and then these light up so you can see from there. But same buttons, just a little bit different placement. Home, menu, back, and search. Just placed slightly differently. Now, the one place where the Epic 4G distinguishes itself, of course, it has the physical QWERTY keyboard. And as I've said before, one of the best QWERTY keyboards in the industry. Definitely a close call between this one and the G2. We're not comparing the G2 in this, but in terms of best QWERTY on the market right now, the Epic 4G is definitely in the top 3. Fantastic keyboard, 5 rows, very easy to type. It has the island keys, so space in between, which usually I'm not a huge fan of, but in this instance, very easy to type on. It has shortcut keys on the left and right, menu, home, back, and search, so you don't have to keep reaching up and clicking up here each time. So let's do a test text message. Just for example, we'll say, let's do, hey there, how are you doing? So fantastic QWERTY keyboard, and it has a D-pad as well, which is a nice touch. So if you're playing a game or you need to scroll up or down, it's nice to have that versus having to jump on the screen and use the touch screen, putting your finger on it and navigating that way. For those that don't like a physical touch or a physical keyboard or don't want to use it or want to keep the device in portrait mode, you're offered 2 options on the virtual QWERTY front. Say that 3 times fast. Virtual QWERTY front. Swipe and then the Android keyboard out of the box. So swipe, you have that, which apparently I'm not very good at. There we go. You have swipe, and then of course you have your standard Android keyboard as well out of the box. So typical Android keyboard, you can see, and then you can use that in landscape mode as well if you don't want to pull the keyboard out. So, I found myself, when I was working with this device for the review, I honestly didn't use the physical keyboard that much. I loved it, don't get me wrong, but didn't use it that much. For the people that don't want to use the physical QWERTY and are looking at this device for other reasons, you have 2 on-screen options as well. But for people that are looking for a physical QWERTY Android device, this is one of the best in the market. Fantastic keyboard, and definitely highly recommended on my end. On the EVO 4G, obviously there's no hard QWERTY keyboard. So when you go to messages, you're using HTC's Sense keyboard. So there's a little bit of space in between. The keys are a little bit bigger, and I found that the auto correction is pretty good on this as well. So we'll say, so you see I made a couple of errors. I meant to say hey there, not there. How are you doing? But made a couple of errors. It auto corrected those. For the most part, very easy to use. If I was typing out a 4-paragraph email, obviously I prefer the physical keyboard on the Epic 4G. Versus the on-screen on either device, but on the EVO in particular, since all it has is on-screen keyboards. That said, very easy to use. In terms of on-screen keyboards, Sense UI, or Sense HTC Sense's keyboard is one of my favorites on the market. So, if you came to me and said, I'm looking for a device that has a fantastic on-screen keyboard, I'd say EVO 4G. If you come to me with say I need a device that has a great physical keyboard, I'd say Epic 4G. So in the keyboard battle, it depends on what you're looking for. Hard physical, Epic's fantastic. On-screen QWERTY, EVO's fantastic.